Today's sutta is from SD. It's in SD 3.11, chapter 11, Mahā Rāhul'ovāda Sutta. This was first translated about 17 years ago, so I have revised it for this class. No? So from page 18 onwards, I'm very happy Brother Lo requested that we study the two embedded suttas also. These are called embedded suttas. No? I usually don't teach the embedded suttas because they're connected, you read by yourself. But the fact that you're aware there are embedded suttas means you've read these suttas, so I'm very happy. So these two suttas, of course, are connected with the teaching in the Mahā Rāhul'ovāda Sutta. If you look in your book, this one's the old book, no? Page 10. Mahā Rāhul'ovāda Sutta. Look at the top right corner, the big bold print. Maha means big, great. That means it's something important. And then Rahula is named the Buddha's son. Ovāda means advice. Sutta means thread or teaching. Teaching that is a thread that goes back to the Buddha himself. Everything translated as the greater discourse on the advice to Rahula. Now you can remember this name, look at the number, M62. M, Majjhima, no? Majjhima, middle length sayings, number 62. And the theme is meditation to overcome attachment to the body. Actually, it's much more than that, but this is one important aspect. There's a set of about 6 meditations here. Remember, some time ago we studied the Ambalattika Rāhul'ovāda Sutta, which is just before this, number 10. Ambalattika Rāhul'ovāda Sutta is a record of the Buddha's teaching to his son when the son was only 7 years old, very young boy. And this one, now he's a teenager, about 10 years later. He's about 17, 18 years old, bright young man. As you know, a teenager also, it's a rebellious period. So you see a bit of very interesting personal character of Rahula in the sutta. We often don't notice this unless we read very carefully the sutta. You can notice some of these very personal observations and insights into the people in the sutta. So you got to know some Pali or read a good translation. That's why the notes are very important. The footnotes are very important. Okay. Now having said that, let's look at the sutta itself. So now you have this notes. What you do is you go to the shop, you get this whole printed, or if you want us to do it for you, we can. I think next time we should do that for you. Sorry?
If it's like a book, we punch a hole, bring back.
Yeah, we can also. Rana says she can punch the holes for you and put it back in for you, and then bring back the books if you like. So, why we need to revise the sutta is because our understanding of the suttas are clearer now, and we can put together many other suttas, interconnect them. One of my approaches is that to get the suttas to explain the suttas explain themselves. Now, commentaries are useful, yes, but commentaries sometimes become very philosophical. They talk about cultural things, and sometimes the commentators also got their own ideas, usually on the Abhidhamma side. So we try to always go back to the sutta. What is the Buddha trying to tell us? What is the Buddha teaching us? That's what we want to know. Okay, we don't want to be too philosophical, doesn't get us anywhere. We don't want to oversimplify the suttas. There are some teachers, I'm quite surprised, despite the fact they appear to be wise. They say that, we should simplify the suttas. I don't know. If you simplify the Mahā Rāhul'ovāda Sutta, I'm not sure what you get. It's like you're simplifying a driver's manual, You simplify that. Or worse, you simplify a computer program. It won't work. It might be a good start to inspire people, yes, maybe. Summary is okay. But you want the results, you must read the real sutta. Because if you don't, how are you going to pass your driving test? You need to read the actual manual. So remember, the suttas are not like newspapers or novels you can summarize, Some people, they want it to be over easy. They say, oh, why you have all these scholars who put their footnotes and all these, so troublesome to read, They don't realize the scholars spend their life putting all these footnotes in. And this footnote really tell you so many things about the secrets of the suttas. For example, the sutta says, and then he bowed down with a 5-point prostration. Oh, no need footnotes. You don't know what it is. What is this 5-point prostration? You need a footnote. If you don't use a footnote, you got to use an amplification. You got to put big square brackets. Say, okay, 5 points. That means head number 1, your 2 elbows and knees, and then your 2 feet. Total 5. That means you bow down completely. This is one of the things we were taught in a monastery. In Thai, they call Binjagang Pradit, okay, Panchanga Patitita in Pali. So we need all this. This is called the critical apparatus. This is how the scholars examine the suttas in detail, and from there, that's the teacher's job, because it just tells you this is how you do it, and you just listen, and then you understand better. Say, oh, this is what it means. Then you move on from there. And then once you have that kind of background knowledge, the next sutta is a bit easier like that. Then you begin to see the connection between the suttas, and it becomes more interesting that way, right? Okay. We will start with the main sutta, then I will show the link to the other 2 embedded sutta. Embedded because they are kind of buried inside the main, the whole chapter. Page 23, Mahā Rāhul'ovāda Sutta, the Greater Discourse on the Advice to Rāhula, M62. Thus have I heard. So this is the typical traditional sutta which Ananda recited to the first council. Everyone got it? Yes? If you are lost, put up your hand. Page 23, okay? If you are lost, put up your hand, okay? At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. So this is the background of the story, Savatthi, in central, northern India, central part. Then when it was dawn, so you must imagine, early morning, the Blessed One, having dressed, taking rope and bow, entered Savatthi for alms. The venerable Rāhula too, having dressed, taking bow and outer robe, followed close behind the Blessed One. Right, so here we have father and son, Buddha and Rāhula, together, going for alms. Okay, only 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it outer robe also? Because the second.
Yeah. The robe is the outer robe. So when we say robe, we know it's outer robe. Okay. Yeah, it can be. You can use either or both. Now this is interesting, because Rāhula, he's not 20 yet, but he still has the outer robe. So in this case, he has actually 3 robes. Either that, or he's just wearing the sarong and is carrying out a rope. It's kind of alright at that time until they enter the village. Then they put it on. Only the monks have 3 robes. The novices only 2 robes. The third robe is put on the shoulder, because the rope they fall very long, and that's the one they use as a blanket. They use as a bed to sleep. So everything is complete for the monk. You can go anywhere like a bird. That's the thing. One of the things I miss in a monk's life. You have everything with you wherever you go, like a tortoise. You don't need to worry about your house or anything like that. All right. So here you see father and son, Buddha and Rāhula, walking together. Father is about, how old is he? About 40 something. Son is 18. Then the Blessed One turned around to look at the venerable Rāhula. the sutta only says this. The Buddha turned around and looked at Rahula and then gave him a teaching. See? Now, if you say no need footnotes, you'll be wondering, what is this? Why did the Buddha turn around? Okay? Now, we also know this word turn around is apaloketi. Apaloketi. Loketi, to look at. Very easy to remember. Loketi, look. Similar root word. No? Look and look. Loketi, loketi means to look. Now, avaloketi means look down from on high. So in Pali, you get all these, the key, the root, and then the verb, and then there are, what we call that, modifying prefixes, suffixes. Avaloketi, looks down. Okay? And later, the Mahayana uses this idea, there is this Bodhisattva, Kuan Yin, who looks down upon the world in compassion. But here, the Pali is apaloketi. Apa means to turn around and look. So you can see how rich Pali is. You can actually, in one verb, you can describe all these few actions together. How did he look? Then we have this tradition, commentary tradition, that explains. See, when you say apaloketi, like for me, I can like that. I turn my head. You see, that's apaloketi. Okay, like that is avaloketi. All right, but according to the commentaries, the Buddha never does this. He will turn his whole body this way. Okay. It's called the elephant look. And this is the verb found in the Mahā Sutta, very famous scenario where the Buddha is leaving Vesali for the last time in his last journey. So he stands on the hill and then he turns around, he looks at Vesali and he tells Ananda, he says, Ananda, look how beautiful Vesali is. It's like his way of saying goodbye to the city. So he turns around and looks. Okay. Then recently I translated another sutta, the Bodhi Raja Kumara Sutta, the story of Prince Bodhi. Again here the Buddha apaloketi, turns around and looks at Ananda. Okay. Because in this sutta, Prince Bodhi has spread white cloth all over his palace floor in the belief that if the Buddha steps on it, he will have a child. Because this Prince Bodhi cannot have a child because of some past bad karma. He couldn't have a child. So he was hoping the Buddha would step on the cloth and get a child. But the Buddha doesn't do such things. The Buddha doesn't enter the palace. He stands there. 3 times he was invited, 3 times he didn't move. Then after the 3rd time, he looks at Ananda, apaloketi. Right? Ananda at once knew what it means and explained to Prince Bodhi why. Okay? But that's another story we'll go to another time, volume 55. Okay? So, apaloketi, the Buddha turns around, looks at this Rahula. Now, to me, this is a meaningful action because the Buddha is going to teach the Dharma. There's going to be quite a few sentences. A few means many sentences. The Buddha wouldn't be turning around and talk. It would be rather awkward to, just turn the head and talk. He would definitely be comfortably facing Rahula and teaching him. All right. Now the commentary explains. If you look at the footnote, there is all there, but I'm telling you now. Rahula, being a teenager. So he's looking at his father walking in front. He said, wow, look at my father. He's handsome and strong and tough and so on. Because they belong to the warrior class. So you can imagine it's like Alexander looking at his father, if you like. So he thought, my father is good looking, handsome and so on. But the Buddha, so, he knows these thoughts going on in Rahula's head. He said, this young boy is having all the wrong thoughts. So he turns around and looks at the son. Okay, so a modern father would say, "Now, son, we better have a talk." So in this case, the Buddha gives this wonderful teaching. All right, so that's the occasion. You have the Buddha talking to his teenage son.
That means during this ashram, literally the whole thing came to a standstill.
Yeah, the two are standing there. Talking. So we have to imagine all this kind of scenario. It helps, no? All right. So the Buddha starts by giving one sentence. Rahula. Notice here, the Buddha always addresses the person, Rahula. In other cases, the Buddha will say, bhikshus this, bhikshu that, In some cases, the sutta may have 100 over occurrences of bhikkhave. In other words, bhikshus, monks. This scholar monk Analayo, he was writing kind of a critical study of one of the suttas. He was commenting on the Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation. He says, "Oh, strange, Bhikkhu Bodhi only translates bhikkhave, the first one only one, and he leaves out all the rest, a total of 150 over bhikkhaves. Why does he do that?" So it's very strange. You find, if you look at his translation, you find the Buddha will say, "Oh monks," only first time. And after that, the rest of the sutta, "No, oh monks," So this is one problem with his translation. Another one, if you look at the footnotes, he will tell you, okay, the Burmese edition says this, the Sinhalese edition says this, the PTS edition says that. He totally, systematically leaves out the Siamese Tipitaka. The Siamese Tipitaka is very complete. There are many editions of it. So this is another problem with his translation. He systematically misses out the Siamese edition also. So that makes a good work incomplete. So this is one of the problems, So in the future, probably somebody has to retranslate everything. So these are some issues you've got to be aware of. That is why sometimes it's good to know Pali and translate for yourself, right? All right, so the Buddha says, "Rahula, whatever form, whether past, future or present, internal or external, gross or subtle, inferior or superior, far or near, all forms should be seen according to reality with right wisdom thus: this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself." So this is what the Buddha, that's all the Buddha taught Rahula at that time, before Rahula answers. No? So what does this mean? Now, these underlying words, they are called the totality formula. It's a term that Rupert Gatin uses, the totality formula for the 5 aggregates. Later on you find the other 4 aggregates will be mentioned. This is how form is defined. Why did the Buddha start with form? It's because Rahula was thinking of the Buddha's form. He said, "Wow, my father is muscular, he's tall, handsome," all about the body, form. So the Buddha replies, "Well, whatever form, all this form you're thinking about, first is defined by time, past, future, or present, by time. Okay, so all forms are impermanent. Okay, past, future, or present. The next is according to person, if you like. Internal is yourself, external is others, whether yourself or this person you're looking at. Okay, gross or subtle. Right. So one way of looking at this, gross is the physical aspect. Okay, subtle is the mental aspect. Right. One way of looking at this, I think, is the actual body. Subtle is what you think of it. It's another way. Inferior or superior. Okay, here inferior refers to our world, the sense world. The sense world, this kind of body that we have, we've got to wash every day and so on. Then superior are the form world, formless world. Okay, far or near. I like this one, far or near. It means on Earth or anywhere else in the universe, some alien quadrant of the universe, whether it is those warring races of the Star Trek, whatever, Klingons, whatever, still the same, far or near. This is the truth. Okay. Now, if you forget all that I've said, just look at the footnote there. Everything is there for you. You can study at home. Note 68. Okay. So, having said all this very long qualification, then the Buddha concludes all forms should be seen according to reality with right wisdom. Thus, this is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. Remember this one. This is called not owning the pain. One way of looking at it is not owning the pain. This applies to all the 5 aggregates. Next time you feel unhappy, sit down quietly and look at the pain in your mind. You say, This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. You find it's easier to deal with it that way. Because when you say I, me, mine, then you own the pain. That's when the suffering becomes very bad. Right? You know, these are people, when they're very upset, they say, I feel like this, I feel like that. This person hurt me, he did this to my whatever. You know, we use I, me, mine, and that's where the problem starts, you see. Alright? So the idea is you want to calm yourself, overcome all these negative thoughts. This is wonderful counseling. Don't own the pain. Okay, this is one way. Then Rahula becomes a bit cheeky. Now remember, he's a teenager, see? So he replies, only material form, Blessed One, only material form, Sugata, welfare, alright? So he's being polite, but he's still a little cheeky, as we would say. So he's he's showing off a little bit. He's trying to show, I don't think it's just form, right? You know, because he knows the Buddha is talking about the 5 aggregates, alright? Material form, Rahula, and feelings, 2 Rahula, perception, 2 Rahula, mental formations, 2 Rahula, and consciousness, 2 Rahula. Notice how many times the Buddha repeat Rahula here. So he wants to stress, you know. So he's saying, yes, you're very clever, right? So the 5 aggregates, they're all like that. So in a sense here, you might, if you are perceptive, you might say, Rahula was also a bit embarrassed, you know. Because he said, oh dear, my father knows, right? So he's like, he's telling me what I thought. So in order to like soften that embarrassment a bit, he shows that he does know Dharma also. So he says, well, it's not only form, right? So it's like trying to impress his father that he does know what the father is talking about. You get it? So there's some extra things you have to read, look into the sutta. What's going on there? See? Okay, so that's all. Because they are going for alms-round, you know, so this right in the middle of the road, the two are standing and the Buddha is giving this Dharma transmission, and then they have to go for alms-round, see? Then Rahula thinks, section 4. Then the venerable Rahula thought, who indeed, after being personally exhorted by the Blessed One himself today, would go into the city for alms, right? So I said, wow, this is great. He's given me a personal teaching, you know. I mean, what's this big deal about collecting alms in the city? You know, he's so happy, you know. He said, my father gave me this teaching. So turning back, he sat down at the foot of a certain tree, crossed his legs, and keeping his body upright, established mindfulness before him. Right. So that's just the right thing to do. He said, go arms round. He said, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, I don't have to eat today. And he sits down to meditate. All right, so he's meditating. Now comes along another person. Sāriputta comes along, and Sāriputta sees him meditating. Okay, let's see what happens now. The Venerable Sāriputta saw the Venerable Rahula sitting at the foot of the tree, meditating. Okay, everything is underlined, italicized, and is repeated. Then, now Sāriputta is very caring. He's especially caring of novices, especially meditating novices now. So he's like a very caring mother or father. He will bring food for the novice. Now he will tell the novice, you don't get up, you go meditating. He brings food for the novice, and he makes sure the novice is meditating properly, he is very caring. And he's also one of the last people, when the monks leave the monastery to go to another city or village, he'll be the last to leave. He's not, although he's the chief, he's the wisest of the monks after the Buddha, he's not like, he has to be in front, and he's at the back. He's at the back. When all the monks have left, he will go around the vihara or the monastery and check everything is clean and all the water pots are turned down. He'd be a very good Singaporean, anti-mosquitoes, you know, turn everything down, and then all the rubbish thrown away. He makes sure everything is spick and span, right? Because the monks have this rule, you know. Once they leave their quarters, they have to fold up their beds. Everything looks very neat. Imagine if 1,000 monks don't have this kind of discipline, very messy life. You know? So they have all this kind of neatness. So Sāriputta sees Rāhula meditating, and he gives his own instructions. Okay, so he tells Rāhula, cultivate the mindfulness of in and out breathing, Rāhula. When the mindfulness of the in and out breathing is cultivated and continuously developed, Rāhula, it is of great fruit and great benefit. Then when it was evening, okay, after this Sāriputta goes away. Then when it was evening, the venerable Rāhula came out of his retreat. So he finished his meditation. He went up to the Blessed One. Having approached and saluted the Blessed One, he sat down at one side. Then, sitting at one side, the venerable Rāhula said this to the Blessed One. Bhante, how is the mindfulness of in and out breathing cultivated and continuously developed so that it is of great fruit and great benefit, right? So notice here, so he has, Sāriputta didn't explain in details. Sāriputta only said, oh, do breath meditation, it's good for you, So he's wondering what is it. So he doesn't know the details. Or he may know some sketchy details. So what better than to ask the Buddha? So you have the two situations here, because Sāriputta doesn't know that the Buddha has already taught Rāhula. So now Rāhula has two teachings. One is on the elements, or rather form, and the other is breath. So he goes to the Buddha and says, okay, what about this breath meditation, which he has just been told by Sāriputta. Now comes the main section of the sutta, where the Buddha puts everything together. So now this is why I give you these new notes. There is a subheading, the 5 meditations. Okay? So there are 5 meditations here before the Buddha actually talks about breath meditation. Okay? So, in fact, even the breath meditation also there are 2 parts. So, let's look at the introduction, the 5. First of all, there are the 5 elements. The Buddha starts by, not by talking about breath meditation. He starts by resuming where he left off with Rāhula. Notice? So earlier on, the Buddha taught Rāhula about the 5 aggregates, just briefly mentioned. Now the Buddha gives details, because now they're comfortable sitting down. It's a good time to learn the Dhamma. Section 8. Okay, now this one I put in brackets. That means this line is not found in this sutta, but it is found in other pericope, other listing of the elements, right? What Rāhula is the earth element, but this is not mentioned here. The Buddha straight away goes into the teaching. Let's see, is there something missing here? Page 25, 26. It should be earth element, not water. Okay. Rāhula, whatever that is hard, solid or solidified, and clung to within oneself separately, namely head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin. Okay? Now notice I have indented skin last. Okay? I'll explain in a moment why. Now the Buddha doesn't say this is earth element, alright? But in effect, the Buddha is talking about the earth element. Flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, kidneys. Right? Stress is on the last one. Heart, liver, membrane around the lungs, or pleura, if you like. Spleen. So you got to imagine these body parts. Last one is lungs. Large intestine, small intestine, stomach, contents. Notice not stomach, stomach, contents. Last one is dung. Okay. So you have this 4 sets. All right. This is called the set of 5 with the skin as number 5. Tacha Panchaka Kamatana. The meditation with skin as the 5th. So you can see skin there at the top. Okay? So it's a set of 5. Alright. So it's called a skin pentat. Pentat means 5. Right? This is the most basic meditation that the monks first learn when they become monks. Like for example, when I joined the order in Thailand, after all the recitation is finished, at the end of that, when the monks already say, okay, you're now a monk, then the novice master, he will go to the main door of the vihara, Uposatha hall. He will stand at the door itself, and then facing in, I will stand facing him. Okay, and then he will say, okay, recite after me. Head, hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin, kesa, loma, naka, danta, tacho, in Pali, right? So this is what we have to remember. This is what I am: head, hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin. Okay, this is what I am: earth element. Okay, and then flesh, sinews, and so on. These are all examples of earth element. This is what we are: earth element, solidity. Okay, later on in another section of the sutta, you see how we also connect this with external earth element. This is internal earth element, what we are. Okay, so once you reflect in this way, you say, well, this is what I am. I'm made up of all these body parts. So what's there to be excited about? They're all changing, impermanent. They look yucky. All right. So okay. So these are the sets. The last one is done. Okay. So you get here how many total if you count? 31, right?
20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each one 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 5 times 4 is 20.
Not 31? 31 parts of the body. Anyway, there is another set, 31 parts of the body.
No, this, the next page continues.
Next page,
and so on.
Okay. Right. Anyway, I'll tell you about that in a little while. Okay. This part is not 31 yet. All right. Okay. So it's not finished yet. All right. There's something else. Or whatever else that is hard, solid, and clung to within oneself separately. Okay, then this is called the style of ascended tonic. Ascended tonic, that means we don't use end. Just comma, comma, comma. So you got to put or, you got to put end in between. All right. For example, the last one, within oneself, separately. Within oneself is what's inside you, or you can also reflect on the elements separately. Separately means one by one, or also as outside. Okay. So these are different ways of meditation. This is how the teachers from here, they teach you how to meditate. Right? Can you follow so far? All right. So what the Buddha has done, he has given examples here. 4 sets rather. Right? And then the last one is the 5th, I think. Now, so whatever is hard, that means resistance. Okay, that's defined as earth. 8.2. Now, both the internal earth element and the external earth element are simply the earth element or hardness. So now, this is the second part. The Buddha said, okay, this is what you are, part of your body, which is earth element. Then outside also you have earth element. Hardness. So internal earth element, outside earth element is the same. Now this is actually a scientific statement. I mean, you may ask yourself, what's got to do with religion, right? Because it's almost like a scientist talking. Right? The Buddha is saying, okay, we are talking about solids, all right? In your body, these are solid things. Head, hair, body, hair, nails, teeth, skin, your bones, and so on. But this hardness in your body is, and the hardness outside, all this wood and so on, it's the same kind of hardness. This is what effectively the Buddha is teaching Rahula, you see. Now, I'm not going into much details there because in the next meditation, the Buddha is going to go into some interesting detail. Here, the Buddha is listing the examples of the elements, and he's saying both internal element and external element are the same. Next, and that should be seen according to reality with right wisdom thus: this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Right? So everything is changing. Right? I mean, a good example is your fingernail, right? Let's say you have long nails, you say, wow, how nice, You show your friends, right? After you clip it away, and they all fall away on the ground. Do you say, that's me? Right? It's normal, you already. I mean, you go to the toilet, there's dung there. Would you say, that's me? I mean, we don't associate anymore, right? It goes back to nature. So this is what the Buddha is teaching Rahula, something very basic. Internal element, external element, same. You don't own them. Okay? Very wonderful psychology. Having seen it thus, as it really is with right wisdom, one is revulsed by the earth element. By wisdom, the mind becomes detached or become lust-free. Right? So if you think that way, you let it clip your nail and it's there on the ground, your hair already drop on the ground, you see in your bathroom toilet, a clump of black stuff, right? You don't say, oh, that's me, right? You are revulsed, you say, yucks, you keep your distance. Your revulsed doesn't mean hate. It means you don't want to have anything to do with it. You're not going to collect all the black stuff on the toilet drain, It's like you're getting burnt by the fire. You're not going to put your hand there again because you say, no, this is painful, I don't want to do this. That's called revulse. All right? It's a very strong sense of not wanting to get caught with this again. This is what the Buddha is trying to teach Rahula. Don't get caught up with all this silly idea of lust and so on, because you'll feel pain after that. So this is the first round, earth. The Buddha is talking about this is earth element. Don't be attached to it, let it go. Next, the Buddha begins with the water, continues with water. Section 9. And what, Rahula, is the water element, or cohesion, if you like, in a psychological way, stickiness. The water element may be either internal or external. Okay, here notice Buddha continues with the normal definition. It can be internal or external. It can be inside you or outside. And what, Rahula, is the internal water element? Rahula, whatever is water, watery, and clung to within oneself separately, namely bile, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tears, skin grease, tallow, saliva, snot, oil of joints, urine, or whatever else that is water, watery, and clung to within oneself separately. This, Rahula, is called internal water element. Right? Now, both the internal water element and the external water element are simply the water element. And that should be seen according to reality with right wisdom thus: this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Having seen it thus as it really is, with right wisdom, one is revulsed at the water element. By wisdom, the mind becomes detached, lust-free. Okay? So you spend a few minutes reflecting on this. Then the Buddha goes on to the fire element. Okay, so earth, water, then fire. Section 10. Rahula, what is the fire element? Or heat, if you like. Alright? Notice this is element, That means not just the fire you see in the kitchen. It's the nature of fire, it's the idea of fire as heat. Now the Buddha is going to define what is fire element. The fire element may be either internal or external. And what, Rahula, is the internal fire element? Rahula, whatever that is fire, fiery and clung to, that means you are attached to it, within oneself, separately, namely, that by which one is warmed. You feel warm. Ages, this one is, a lot of people do not know, this is very important. Decay, metabolism. The Buddha doesn't use metabolism, he says ages. Decay. And burns. Oxidation. You see this, you use old words, you use modern words, you find, wow, it's very scientific in this sense. Burns. And that by which what is eaten, drunk, chewed and tasted get completely digested. What's one word for this? Digestion. Digestion, right? So notice, this is what makes Buddhism so interesting and special. Very scientific, Talks about the nature of fire. Fire is what warms our body, our metabolism, or in other words, decay, and digestion, right? All this is regarded as fire, okay? And whatever else that is fire, fiery, and clung to within oneself separately, this, Rahula, is called internal fire element. Now both the internal fire element and the external fire element are simply the fire element. And that should be seen according to reality with right wisdom. Thus, this is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. Okay, I don't own this. So there you are, that's the reflection for each of the elements. And having seen it thus, as it really is, with right wisdom, one is repulsed by the fire element. By wisdom, the mind becomes detached, lust-free. Rahula, what is wind element or motion? The wind element may be either internal or external. And what, Rahula, is the internal wind element? Rahula, whatever is the wind or air, wind-like or air-like and clung to within oneself separately, namely, upgoing winds, downgoing winds, winds in the belly, winds in the chest, winds that course through the limbs, in-breath, out-breath. That's wind. Now this is where we get the traditional medicine idea of wind. This is the passage. Okay? So, upgoing wind is like, for example, burping. Okay? Downgoing wind, you know what it is, It goes out the other way. And you got winds in the chest, okay? Oxygen, wind in the belly rather, stomach gas. Sometimes it makes very loud noise called boborygmus. Winds in the chest. And the winds that seem to move around the body. Okay, so it's not ordinary wind on this one. It's something, a movement. Anything that moves in the body.
Chi.
And the Chinese call it chi. And then you have in-breath, out-breath. Okay? Or whatever else that is wind-like, and clung to within oneself separately. This, Rahula, is called internal wind element. Now both the internal wind element and the external wind element are simply the wind element. Right? So we should look at this according to reality, right? And reflect. This is not mine, this I am not, this is not myself. So remember, I highlighted this for you in bold. Remember this reflection. So when you do in this way, next time you see anything of the body, whether earth, water, fire or wind, you will say, this is not mine, this I'm not, this is not myself, right? Now Rahula is taught 5 elements. The next one is space. Now usually we learn 4 elements enough already, but here special, and the Buddha adds space, right? There are also 6 elements, and I have 6 elements. 6 ones is consciousness, which is a bit difficult. So normally it's either 4 or 5, right? Look at number 12. Rahula, what is the earth element? What is the element of space rather? What is the element of space? The space element may be either internal or external. Inside our body, outside. Okay? And what Rahula is the internal space element. Rahula, whatever that is space, spatial and clung to within oneself separately, namely the ear canals, the nostrils, the mouth cavity, and the opening whereby whatever is eaten, drunk, taken and tasted is swallowed, and where it collects or stays, and whereby it is voided from below. Alright, what is the Buddha talking about here? He's talking about the alimentary canal, food canal. So these are all space, right? Inside our body, right? And or whatever else that is space, spatial and clung to within oneself separately, this Rahula is called internal space element. And then same reflection, both internal space element, external space element are the same, simply space element. Don't own them, just reflect and say, this is not mine, this I'm not, this is not myself. Then you won't get caught up with them. You say, oh, that's all it is, Okay, so this is the teaching on the 5 elements, Rahula. Now in the next part, the Buddha combines loving kindness, combines the 4 divine abodes with the 4 elements. And this teaching is only found here, given to Rahula. And this is a very wonderful practice any one of us can do. It's very simple, very wonderful. So these are the 5 element-like meditation, not just element, but element-like. What does it mean? That means we use this element to imagine how to solve problems. Look at number 13. Rahula, cultivate an earth-like meditation. So you can choose. You can your personality, earth, water, fire, wind, or space if you like. The 5 ways you can choose one that you like best, works for you best. Earth-like meditation. For when you cultivate an earth-like meditation, Rahula, agreeable and disagreeable contacts in whatever happens to your experience, contacts to your senses, that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. Rahula, just as now the Buddha talks about how to picture earth element. How do you picture yourself as earth element? Imagine you are this earth on the ground. Okay, so in this case we are talking about the earth, that is the ground we stand on. Rahula, just as they throw things clean and foul, clean things, dirty things, things soiled with dung, with urine, with spittle, with pus, or with blood, the earth is not troubled, ashamed, or disgusted because of that. So too, Rahula, cultivate an earth-like meditation. For when you cultivate an earth-like meditation, Rahula, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. So the Buddha said, okay, if you're this meditation you can do. Imagine if you are not happy because somebody did something bad to you. I shall be like the earth, right? People throw all kinds of rubbish on the earth. The earth does not complain. I shall be like earth. It's a very wonderful meditation for children also, right? In fact, it can be for anyone. So then you become earth-like. Or if you like, rock-like also can. So these are variations. No? Be strong like the earth. So you can reflect in other ways. People step on the earth, people dig up the earth, right? Trees grow on the earth, but the earth does not complain, right? The earth supports plants and so on. So this you use earth to reflect. Very ecological, no? Right? So this is a very wonderful meditation. I think the ecologists will love this. No? So if you have any ecologist friends, say, hey, look at this ecological meditation. No? Now next is water-like meditation. Right? So choose your element, okay? Rahula, cultivate a water-like meditation. For when you cultivate a water-like meditation, agreeable and disagreeable contacts, here contact means experiences, that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. Okay? So you won't go on thinking about it. Rahula, just as they wash things clean and foul, things soiled with dung, with urine, with spittle, with pus or with blood, water is not troubled, ashamed or disgusted because of that. Okay? So the reflection here is on natural water. Right? Of course, nowadays we are more mindful. We know that if you don't respect nature, in a sense, nature does act back. That is the way we perceive things. Right? That, for example, water become dirty, then you can't use it, right? And the earth also gets erosion, things like that, right? So this is a kind of it's a different culture already now, because we are overpopulated today, not like in the Buddha's time. In the Buddha's time, the population is much smaller, nature is very beautiful, okay? But the idea is still there. You have to respect nature. Nature has this beautiful aspect, right? So today, with nature reacting back, is the new development which you must deal with. So here the reflection is, so too, Rahula, cultivate a water-like meditation when you cultivate a water-like meditation, Rahula, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. So again, choose your element. If you feel, okay, you like swimming, you like water, if something bad happens, say, I'm going to be like water, okay? Water will wash away all these unhappy things, impure things. My mind is like water, I'll wash away all this dirt. So this is a very wonderful therapy. You can be sure the psychotherapists are probably already copying this. Then the next one, 15, Rahula, cultivate a fire-like meditation. Okay, this is quite easy to imagine. For when we cultivate a fire-like meditation, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. Rahula, just as they burn things clean and foul, things soiled with dung, with urine, with spittle, with pus or with blood, fire is not troubled, ashamed or disgusted because of that. So too, Rahula, cultivate a fire-like meditation. For when you cultivate a fire-like meditation, Rahula, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have a reason will not overpower your mind and remain. Okay? So, if you like fire, then you say, okay, this unhappy event, all these thoughts, let me just burn them away like fire. Fire purifies. So this is another reflection. Okay? So this one you have to calm yourself. And so the object is fire. Now comes wind. Section 15. Rahula, cultivate a wind-like or air-like meditation. Now wind is moving, so that's why I prefer wind rather than air. Okay? For when you cultivate a wind-like meditation, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have arisen will not overpower your mind and remain. Rahula, just as the wind blows on things clean and foul, things soiled with dung, with urine, with spittle, with pus, or with blood, the wind is not troubled, ashamed, or disgusted because of that. Right? So wind just blows. Right? Right now we wish there's a good wind to blow away and clear Singapore skies. Right? We don't want the haze. Right? So this is a reflection. I'll be like wind. I'm going to blow away all these unhappy things. Right? And you can also reflect other positive aspects of wind. For example, what does wind do to us? Wind cools us down. Wind moves the boats and ships and so on. Yeah? So you reflect all these positive qualities of nature. So this is the wind. And then number 5 is space. 17. Rahula, cultivate a space-like meditation. For when you cultivate a space-like meditation, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have arisen will not overpower you and remain. Rahula, just as space is not established anywhere. Right, so this is a very short one, shortest definition. Space does not stay anywhere, does not remain anywhere. You cannot find space. Space everywhere, yet it's not there, so to speak. So too, Rahula, cultivate a space-like meditation, for when you cultivate a space-like meditation, Rahula, agreeable and disagreeable contacts that have arisen will not overpower you, your mind, and remain. So when you're troubled by any negative thoughts or unhappy events, I'm like space, right? You can't stand in space, okay? Space just, all these thoughts will just go away. I'm not going to hold it, okay? So these are the 5 elements. So choose the element that you're drawn to and use it for your meditation. So this is one of those helping meditation. Okay, the main teachings are all finished now. Now the Buddha gives all short mentions. Next, the Buddha says, section 18, Rahula, practice the cultivation of loving kindness. For when you cultivate loving kindness, ill will be abandoned. And that's all the Buddha says. Okay? Rahula, practice cultivation of compassion. For when you cultivate compassion, cruelty will be abandoned. Right? And then next, Buddha says, cultivate gladness, joy, discontent will be abandoned. When you're happy, you will not be discontented. You're willing to share, you are generous, right? And then the last one, 21, Rahula, practice the cultivation of equanimity, balanced-mindedness, level-mindedness. For when you cultivate equanimity, aversion will be abandoned. Dislike will be abandoned. Now, aversion is not exactly hate. It's more like just kind of not liking something. Okay? So here you have the 4 abodes, 4 Brahmaviharas, and their opposites. Right? So here that probably Rahula already know this practice. It's quite simple practice, and the Buddha is saying, remember this practice. Right? Then the Buddha also mentions 22, Rahula, practice the cultivation of foulness of the body. So look at this body as impure, you got to wash it every day, and so on. Okay? For when you cultivate foulness, lust will be abandoned. Right? Now here foulness has 2 senses. One is you actually reflect on the body as being impure, you have to clean it every day, you got to wash and bathe. The other one is the 9 stages of decomposition. Okay? The one's a bit more heavy, if you like. Which needs special guidance to practice. Right? So there are 2 meanings. But here is probably simply reflecting on the body as being impure. And this is not hating the body. This is a reality check, not to be overly attached to the body. And then one last practice before the actual breath meditation is taught. The perception of impermanence. Rahula, cultivate perception of impermanence. For when you cultivate the perception of impermanence, the conceit I am, or egotism, or you can include even narcissism, if you like, will be abandoned. All right. In fact, this is the basis for attaining stream winning. Okay. So here the Buddha mentions, just by mention, no details. All right. So having said all this, what the Buddha is doing actually is preparing Rahula for the main teaching that's on breath meditation. So the Buddha is talking about the elements. Earlier on the Buddha already mentioned, the 5 aggregates. Now the Buddha uses the 4 elements or 5 elements to understand the nature of the body, right? So here, all these teachings is to help Rahula overcome the hindrances, the mental hindrances, so that he can go on to do the most important meditation that will bring awakening, the cultivation of in and out breathing. Now this one, there are 16 stages, so I'm not going to go through them today because we want to take it in a relaxed, detailed way. Breath meditation is very important. Now this one is a short version. You have another sutta called the ānâpānā sati sutta. That's really long. You have, I think, 3 stages of this 16 cycles repeated, So this one is a simple one taught to Rahula, so it will suit us quite well, which we will continue next lesson. Yeah? All right, so any questions? Yes, please.
The
Ānâpānā sati. Yeah.
That one actually, can we do it together with like meditation?
With what? With which one?
Meditation.
With meditation?
It means that when we do the teaching, and we use the teaching and we try to like sit for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, of
based
course.
on that teaching.
Yes. Usually, once you feel calm, you go into it. So you can start reading sutta, for example.
But I think there's a lot of like steps to follow, right?
Oh no, you don't do all the 16. Start with the first 4. That's the most important. All right. Yeah, I think next you make sure you come for the coming lesson, because we go to detail all the 16.
I will have to miss the next lesson.
Really?
In Cal.
All right, so you can watch the video. Yeah? Because the first 4, this is what we do here. The first 4, that's the beginner stage. Oh, okay, good. So there are all this. Anyway, you can read the notes are detailed here. Okay, the new one. The footnotes will tell you what to do. So remember, always focus on the first 4. The first 4 is the basis. Once you get the first 4, then the others, they all are different levels of experiences. All right. You cannot like sit all at one time as a beginner unless you already know what to do. All right. This one is the complete practice. Any other question? Yeah. Yeah.
Just now you mentioned the Apollo Sati.
Apollo Keti, yes.
But on this footnote, it's written there Apollo Ketwa.
Oh, Ketwa is past tense. Past tense, yeah. Actually, having a participle, is it? Having turned around. Okay. Having turned around, the Buddha. Having done this, the Buddha did that. Okay, so Apollo Ketwa. This grammar thing is really detailed. Okay. Yes.
So this
Yeah.
Rahula, he didn't went for the arms breaking.
No, he didn't. That day, not.
So he basically meditated the whole day.
Not necessary, I mean, he could. Yes, very observant. Yes, very observant. So
Very long.
not the whole day, but whole daytime. Yes. So in the morning, and then he meditated until evening,
Yes.
and then he went to see the Buddha.
Yeah. So
That means he didn't take any food. Yeah,
sitting.
he didn't take food that day.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's in deep meditation, I say. Yeah. Okay, very good observation. Yeah. So notice these are things we can tease out from the sutta.
Young man, some more young man.
Yeah, he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, any?
Then another one is that
Yeah.
if a person who do this meditation on these elements,
Yes.
for instance, earth element,
Yeah.
internal and external. So for the internal, does the meditator able to view internally the...
We have to picture, yeah. Nowadays it's easier, you got all these medical pictures, you know. Or you got a medical student, wonderful, you can do this, because they've got to cut up the cadavers. So if they're sometimes afraid, no? So this is good meditation, helps them. Yeah. So this also shows that in the Buddha's time, they already experienced cutting up bodies. See, like in Italy was a bit later, see, and that's how medical science started. See, they were willing to open up bodies. Yeah. So it shows that they already seen inside the dead body. You see. So in our case, of course, we have so many pictures. We know how they look like. You see. So we don't have to. We can't look inside ourselves, of course. So we picture it in our minds. Yeah. So it's good to have an idea first. You can look at some picture books, or even look at some dead bodies being cut up. You know, let's go to the hospital and see it. And there are lots of movies and pictures nowadays. If you know
some they put the skeleton.
Yeah. But remember, all this must be done properly, because some people, they may not feel good about it, so they should not do it. So you must be ready. You must be emotionally strong. Yeah. So, yeah. Does fear arise? Then they will fear the practicing also. All right. So, and you must practice this balance up with metta, loving kindness. Close it with metta always. Otherwise, you become very, we said dour. A bit serious and unhappy even. Okay. So yes.
Lastly, the four divine abodes about this meditation, cultivation on the loving kindness, compassion, on that.
Yes.
Does the following notes have the steps on this? It looks quite preliminary, some steps.
There are steps. Yeah, we have to do it separately. You notice we have done loving kindness already, right? The steps are there. I have another lesson elsewhere, some suttas. There is, maybe we print out that 4 divine abodes for you next time. We just remember, we print some notes on the Brahma Viharas for you. The steps are all given there. Okay, one whole chapter on that. It's good to ask. Yes, your turn. Yeah.
I want to ask, because for the 4 divine
abodes.
It's like compassion, madness, equanimity. When I do meditation, I'm able to connect with thoughts. But loving kindness, I think for me is really very hard. So like when we do the meditation, so we try to.
That's interesting. So you start.
The light,
the
spreading. I can actually spread until then it gone.
That's okay.
It doesn't stay like.
That is quite good already. So you go on doing that. We're talking about lifetime practice, not just a few weeks, you know. Yeah?
Well, for many years I never able to.
So you can start with compassion. You can start with compassion, and then from there go back to loving kindness, and then build up compassion again like that. Back and forth. So you complete the practice. Remember, the one that you don't like is the one that you need, and you
can get the grasp of it.
It's possible that you're very caring about other people, and you say, "Oh, I'm not important." You put people first, so that could that's the sign, you see, that you're more caring about others. So this is where you start with that, and then you build up the loving kindness also. Yeah, I think it looks like we might have to bring the notes for everybody to read. You read on your own. You read on your own. Okay, one day we will study it, of course. Very good question. Yes.
Maybe I can organize a retreat.
Yes, you can go somewhere and study it. Ask Brother Lo to lead for you. Because all the notes are there, just prepare and then stay on course. No? Yes. Anything else? Any other question? Yeah. Yes, Rodney. Yeah. Any question? This is your chance to ask. Yeah.
I just think maybe the teacher may be able to elaborate more on the equanimity meditation.
Equanimity. Okay, equanimity is the most difficult. So normally people don't start there. You start either with loving kindness or equanimity. What they call it, compassion. You start one of those. Equanimity, you can use one of the elements. For example, if you're troubled by something, okay, choose your favorite element. You say, okay, I'm going to be like earth, calm, balanced, like that. So, okay, you can combine. You do one after the other like that, as long as you enjoy it. Maybe do one in the morning, one in the evening, before going to bed. Before going to bed, it's a good time to meditate, but you got to watch out. Not the meditation that energizes you, no? The one that makes you sleepy. Do that one, or do a short one. Yeah, all right.
Normally the meditation makes me sleepy.
It's okay.
It's always end up good sleep.
Well, you're very lucky then, right? Last week I had a wonderful dream. I was conducting meditation, all in detail, very nice. I said, luckily nothing wrong, everything was correct. Too detailed, beginning to end, really. Okay, so you choose your favorite element. Okay, I think that's a very good practice for equanimity. You can start with, in fact, the elements are very versatile. So you start with the loving kindness aspect, and then you end with the equanimity aspect using the elements. That's why the Buddha introduced this to Rahula. All right. So this is one wonderful sutta in that sense. It's the only sutta that teaches the combined element. Okay. Anything else? All right. So we'll close here for today. Next round we'll do the breath meditation. Now, whenever we come here for class, we are doing something very wonderful as a human being. We want to stay human or even rise above the human state, become divine, heavenly. Once we leave this room, we go back into the world, we can easily go below the human state. We can behave like an animal, full of fear, just going around looking for food and pleasure, or we can become like hungry ghosts, get caught up, addicted with all kinds of things, not happy with anything, or we can end up violent like asuras or hell beings. So we can fall into the subhuman state any time. When we don't keep the precepts, that's what happens. So the precepts are reminding us, when you come to this class, you are human for the moment you are here. So reflect on this very wonderful opportunity you have to raise yourself up to this happy level as a human, so that you don't fall below it, not too often anyway. And here you can strengthen yourself on how to remain human and use that as the basis for higher spiritual development. Reflecting in this way is very wonderful, good karma. With the power of such karma, may we be well and happy. May we be strong and wise to be able to choose, to aspire to stream winning in this life itself. May our practice to be fruitful in a happy way in this life itself. May our families and loved ones to be well and happy. May those who are practicing the Dhamma to quickly taste the fruit of their true practice. And may those who are lost to return to the true path in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.